So B-Sides, I throw the social engineering capture flag at B-Sides and have done so for the last 3 years. Last year, Banshee wanted me to start doing puzzles as a lead up to promote the convention. This is the second year we did it. So this year we decided to get really, really crazy. And we did 6 puzzles. It's the 6th year of B-Sides. The whole point is to encourage new learning and techniques. The game this year adapted as people solved or whatever complaints they posted out onto Twitter due to a Twitter bot and a couple other things we have. All the puzzles, if they were solved, told a story and tied into the SECTF and CTF, because this year we combined the SECTF and CTF together. SECTF people could go social engineer, blue team and red team people, or team up, and it got really, really dirty. So we teamed up with 666 Zip Code Town Records out of Topeka. It's a record label. It's been around for quite a few years. They opened up in 1999. A lot of their artists have been around the world, opened up raves, huge festivals, all sorts of crazy stuff. So we're like, hey, you guys are nuts. Let's team up with you and make some puzzles. So this is the first puzzle. That's all you got. You had to solve it. If you had the balls to scan the QR code, all of them were benign because my lawyers sit around and say, no, only benign shit inside your QR codes. Scan the QR code, it took you to 666records.com where you could download the first audio track. The first audio track simulated some listening stations. If you're too young, in the 80s and everything, there was listening stations where spies got numbers and codes out via shortwave or AM radio. You turn it. I used to live in Germany, so as a kid you'd hear stuff, people announce stuff like counting out numbers. It was a code. All these numbers correlated to DTMF tones, and if you put it into a phone face, it translated to hello world, and that was what you had to do for the first answer. Once you figured out what the first year of B-Sides was, it was 2009. It was solved on April 1st and was launched on April 1st. All these puzzles I had to do on the road, both recording and working with the artists as well as drawing everything. Everything of these puzzles was hand-drawn. So we're going to make that artwork available to everyone later on. This is number 2. All these you can go to 666records.com or on the B-Sides website, and we'll have some other stuff later too. This was done by a guy who studied under Karl-Heinz Stockhausen. It was a fractal map to MIDI and audio, so you actually get to hear a fractal. The sheet music was released because we call it bullshit and we thought it was fucking weird. Guy released the sheet music for us, so it's out there. What was actually in there is MP3 files have slack space, so we wanted you to encourage messing around in forensics. This puzzle was never solved, so here it is. Inside the slack space was an ASCII 85 encoded message. If you don't know what ASCII 85 is, you might go way back and look into it, and you can actually have fun with it. A lot of malware is adapting to it now and using it, which is fun. So this was what came about. You just had to solve it and retweet it out. Final answer was the address of the first B-Sides minus 20, which equals 6, which later on, if you solve the many layers of the puzzles and the other puzzles, it tied into it. Yep. Okay. Well, we've got another thing. I'm going to breeze through these because we got the...
Don't rush.
So this is the third puzzle. And why I'm not giving you guys absolutely all the answers here tonight, no one else has seen any of this. But I want you guys to go out and play with these because there's a lot more in these than just this. And at the ending, it really wasn't the ending. So we have something else if you have the time to go out and play. So this is number 3. Again, if you're drawing all this artwork on a plane or at an airport, you get a lot of weird looks. So puzzle 3 was Morse code, which really fucked a lot of people up in this day and age. The solution was pretty easy. It was the name and date of the guy who created Morse code. No one solved this. There was a tone in the background, one of the instruments, that was actually Morse code. If you listened to it, it stood out more than the others. But again, Morse code isn't that widely known, so we tried to encourage people to dig into stuff that they may not be exposed to. That's what all these puzzles are about. So this is puzzle 4. Again, on an airplane it gets weird when you're drawing the stuff. A lot of these things have, each puzzle has 7 layers in addition to the answer that you can play through and solve. Puzzle 4 was actually solved by Brian here, which he is already gone, but Brian was the only one that solved it. Embedded inside the actual audio file was images. And what you had to use is a piece of software called Sonic Visualizer, which is available for Linux, OS X, PC, everything. The puzzle hint in the picture was ASCII 85 again, and it spelled out the word Sonic Visualizer. If you download Sonic Visualizer and load the audio file into it, What you do is you open up the Spectrum Analyzer plugin and sweep through the file. You then will find text inside of the sine waves and the spectrum and the waveform of the audio file. So in there we embedded a question: how many people pre-registered through Eventbrite in 2013 for B-Sides Las Vegas? 404 people. But again, you can actually see something inside the spectrum of the actual wave file. This is puzzle 5. You notice less and less things become evident in some of these pictures, and there's less and less clues. We had to dial them down because we are keeping track by using the layer system of how far people were getting, and we want to make these accessible, so we dialed them back. 5 again, Morse code spelled out. Please download Sonic Visualizer and apply it to the music file. When you opened it up, it asked you to retweet to Squirrels in a Barrel in hex code CVE 2015, which was the B-Sides 2015 slogan in hex. This was actually solved a couple days before the conference. But again, we're trying to introduce you to things that you may not be aware of or play with or have an opportunity to at work or in your daily lives. So a lot of people had a problem with hex code, which is weird, and we wanted to get it out there as well as Morse code. We found out that Morse code was really a stumbling block. So this is the last one. This is number 6. And if you notice, it's not quite the ending. So if you guys want to play through these, I'd encourage it and do some more. Also, we've had an interesting incident. I don't know if you saw Chris Nickerson's speech at Circle City Con, or B-Sides Indy, I forget what it is, his last talk. Go ahead and watch that. And the problem that he's been having with the stalker, we put the stalker's name in the puzzle. So have fun, because we don't give a fuck. And if they want to come around again, we'll gladly oblige. But this had a lot of extra stuff in here, and this one, again, was the Sonic Visualizer, because we started dialing down and down and down, because we wanted you guys to play, win, and have fun. So it was really freaky when people started finding words, letters, and images inside of the actual waveforms of the audio. And there's some other plugins and software out there that'll help you. I'd actually encourage you to go out to the SANS reading room. There's 3 papers in the SANS reading room that'll help you through all of these. So we added layers in to, one, gauge how people were doing, to add additional information, and to kind of see how things are going. We're about ready to launch something that allows people to facilitate capture flags and other things. And we tested that bot and some other things in with this game. Some of these were never solved, so that's why tonight you guys got a head start. Go out and start messing with them. Tweet out the answers, go have fun, just mess with it. There's all sorts of shit hidden in these puzzles. When Lost comes up to you and shakes his head, you know you're onto something. So we've had an outpouring for the artwork and everything else. We'll get that out to you guys for free and available somehow, and high-res images and things. We do have some surprises coming down the road, because we're going to wrap up everything. 6 is not the end. If you guys want to continue playing, it's still on. That's the secret that no one solved at B-Sides. So you guys should go out and have some fun and see where else you can take this. So with that, we're going to go and tempt the demo gods here. And tonight, I'm going to teach you guys how to forge stuff. But we're not going to forge just anything, because, you know, it's boring. I want to show you guys how to forge a federal ID badge. And not only that, we're going to print one out right here, right now. So we're going to get really fucking dirty, and I'm going to show you guys. So when you guys leave here, you'll be able to do this exact same shit for free, if not next to nothing. Also, please take this back to where you work tomorrow and go, hey, we should probably reevaluate the badge policy, because we're fucked. So everything I learned from Honey Badger, today, there's no disclaimer, because it's just, we're fucked. We're going deep, deep, deep dirty. Everything here you're going to see now, don't do it. I 100% guarantee if you do this shit that we're about to do now without lawyer or help or legal assistance, Men in Black will come and get you. It's not fun. So I don't have time to talk about myself. If you want to come up and talk to me afterwards, I work for Laura's, and I run Squirrels in a Barrel, which does the World Championship of Social Engineering every year. So Honey Badger doesn't give a fuck and takes what he wants. And that's what you need to do when you get into red teaming and social engineering. Especially when it comes to badges. Badges are the #1 thing that's going to get you in everywhere. That was the theme for B-Sides this year if you played the SCCTF and the CTF. A shitload of badges. In fact, we use this badge printer here. If you came up to the table and saw me working the first day, B-Sides ran out of badges. We were printing the additional badges for B-Sides on this printer. So it's pretty fun. Badges get you in everywhere. The funny thing about badges is no one's really an expert, and no one looks closely to the details, and that's in your favor. So you can do whatever the fuck you want and take whatever the fuck you want, just like Honey Badger. So this is a thermal printer that we're going to demo, and this is how it works. Basically, you're taking an image from a computer, puts it on a transfer film, rolls it over, and at the same time, there's a second ribbon that goes underneath, the CYMK, cyan, yellow, magenta, and black, which layer up all 4 layers to form your colors, sits underneath. So when that image goes across that transfer film and sits on top of the thermal ribbon, there's a print head that's actually heated up and fuses that image directly to the card. So it's not inkjet, it's actually fused to the card, so you can't scrape it off or do anything. This is what the real badge printers you see for like guards, businesses, and big installations use. This is the same technique. This is also the same printer and techniques that are used to make driver's licenses. So if you get into this stuff, they might background check you, or you might get some interesting phone calls to make sure that you're not printing ID badges and driver's licenses for 16-year-old kids. These printers are ridiculously expensive. If anyone's ever gone out to look at a badge printer, they're just retarded expensive. The reason why, they only make maybe 60 or 70 of these a year, the manufacturer does, because it's not worth it to them. Meanwhile, everyone else in the big industry that does inkjet printing and everything, they crank out huge numbers of both print cartridges and printers. The only reason why security printers are so expensive and car printers, there's not a high demand for them, and they only make a small number of them every year. Especially if you break one, you're totally screwed in some instances. So, you want to get a printer cheap? This is how you do it. Go call up a business, or go call up CDW, call up the actual manufacturer. Ask for demo models. You can get up to 80% off on a demo model, or open box models that get returned to CDW or other big box stores and other things. Also go into a business that does these, like Tyco, and ask them, hey, can I have your showroom model? I know you've had a lot of miles on it, but I'll take it and I'll redress it and be done. You can walk out of showroom models for under $300 if you want to. Also, educational discount. If you know a student or teacher or whatever, you can get educational discounts, which are awesome not only for hardware but for software. What if you want to do this even cheaper, as in free? Go to your hotel business office. That's the best free printing service you'll ever find around town, because some higher end hotels here in town, the people manning the business offices are very, very, very helpful, because they want to make sure that you as a guest are thoroughly taken care of. So using a hotel business office, if you're traveling and doing red team or pen testing engagements, you always have access to one of those. Go down there, print out a badge, put it on top of a plastic card or even a credit card. And these badge holders over there on the side, I like the badge holders with the things on the side so they can't see the edges, and a lanyard. So no one can really see from a distance that it's a piece of paper in front of a card. It's also good to hide some of the defects and details from afar. And these personalized ones that are around your neck like this, you don't have to have the rhinestones. It discourages security guards from getting into your personal space to grab that to verify. So, if you want to go even cheaper than free, go to a local print shop and ask for free samples. Because you have a client that wants to do something and you're just not sure yet, but you need to take an example to him to show him so you can make the sale. Local print shops will help you out there for free. When in doubt, keep it simple, stupid. You'd be surprised of how little work you have to do on a badge to actually fool people. People aren't looking up close at it, they're not looking at it with a microscope. They're just seeing shit from afar, and from about the distance of me to jurist usually. Like, oh, he's got a badge, he's cool, just fucking let him in. Or if you're tailgating, they don't really care or look. They're like, oh, he's got a badge on him. It's okay if he walks behind me and doesn't beep, because he's got a badge. So keep it simple, stupid, because you would be surprised how easy it is. The most important thing with this process, if you're going to forge badges, is OSINT. You've heard me yell about this all the time, beat it into you. If you do pen testing, anything, Red team social engineering. This is your first step. You have to do this. You have to do the research. Why? I'll show you here in a second, because if you don't do OSINT, you're going to fail, but you also find some really cool shit. So enough talk, let's go break shit, let's go print some badges, let's go commit some felonies here tonight. So the great thing about this is we're going to do some OSINT. So it's like, we need someone in Kansas City, big business that's around you guys. So I didn't want to do CenturyLink to cause some headaches. So I decided, let's do a federal agency. USDA is here in town. Let's go for fucking balls out broke tonight. So if you put in USDA and ID badge in Google, holy shit snacks, do you find a lot of stuff you should not, including, badge templates. The fucking badge templates online. Now, USDA is not unique. You should probably go out tomorrow or tonight and Google your own companies. You'd be very surprised. Some very, very big e-commerce businesses out there. You might want to Google them and see what comes up. Pick anything from like Fox News on down. It's fucking amazing what's out there. Just by Googling the badge template. I mean, seriously, everything right there, that's the fucking template to make the badge, to get into a federal agency. In this case, the USDA. Kind of a problem. So, without further ado, we're going to tempt the demo gods, and we're going to print shit. So, we have this sexy man here. And correct me if I'm wrong, but tomorrow is your first day at work at the USDA, sir?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Just checking, making sure you're legal. So, Photoshop, if you guys want a hint or tip, if you want Photoshop for free, the full unadulterated version legally, a couple years back, Adobe fucked up and made Photoshop CS2 available with the serials out there, and they just left it. And they said, hey, you can download it. So the entire Creative Suite version 2 from Adobe, you can download for free. Just Google it, look it up. Serials, everything there, legit. It's what I use here. It's what I use on the road. It doesn't matter. It does everything you need to forge everything from passports on down to driver's licenses. So we got the template. We just filled some stuff in. And we're going to make sure it prints out. And this thing's kind of fussy because it kicked out quite a few badges for B-sides. And we're going to go over, and if you'll come over here, Jurist, we'll get your prize out of the candy machine here. And right now it's printing. Like what it does, it takes a little bit of time because right now it's doing cyan, yellow. Right now you can see it's yellow. Magenta, and black. It prints each of the 4 colors. And then it puts an overlay on, which I'm not doing holograms because I don't want to get in trouble tonight as much. And the picture we took, just quite literally in the back of the room a few minutes ago. And there you go, sir, you're now USDA. Here you go.
Yeah, so short of this actually, I mean, obviously there's not an actual chip in here,
Yeah.
but I'm guessing that you can go out and you can buy blanks that have chips in them.
Yeah.
Pretty simple off eBay or something like that. Yeah, this is pretty legit. I'm guessing this would probably get me past first level security. Oops, oops, oops. I'm sorry, I'm having problems. Here's my badge, I'm legit. Thanks a lot. I'm in a hurry, I'm late to a meeting. Right?
Yeah, so you can print out, and like I said, it's not 100%, but it does need to be for what we're doing. You saw in just a few minutes, we had a template. I was in the back of the room, took a picture of him, threw his ass in the template, filled out a couple things, and we printed it. So in under 5 minutes, we're getting into a federal institution or agency. Because I can guarantee you they're not going to fucking check the chip. The chip doesn't do anything for entry. And if you really need to set it off to another level, there is a group of individuals that produce free software out there for cell phones that mimics sound environments that you might be able to use to do a HID beep on a door. So you might want to do some deep web searching on that. But again, a couple things to note with this picture is when you take a picture, make sure it is not sexy, make sure it is not good looking, make sure it is not well photographed. One thing I like to do in the filter section is just give it a little Gaussian blur. And then I like to add some noise to it. And why that is, if you see his image, it's not 100%, it's a little fuzzy, it's a little blurry, it's a little speckled, because that's what those cameras are like at work. Look at your badges, they suck, because they use these cheap piece of crap cameras, they take your picture, and they just spit it out. So do not do a high-res, high-detailed, nice-looking picture. The worse the picture, the better for the badge. So again, a couple seconds to search out on Google. Look for ID badge, employee ID badge, badge, employee badge, and the company name. Do that tonight when you get home, and you'll find some amazing stuff that you're just gonna your jaw, I guarantee, will drop on the ground. So when you guys are doing this stuff for pen testing or anything else, keep it simple. Take a picture of the badge, recreate it even with Photoshop or something simpler, GIMP, PaintShop Pro, whatever the fuck you want. But keep it simple, and you can readily print these out on just a printer, or if you're gonna go for one of these badge printers, there's a lot of ways to get them cheap and easier. You can even go in with the USB stick to some of these showroom floors and go, oh, I have some samples I want to get printed. And we've done that a couple times before, jobs and things, just to see if things will work. But you can go into like a showroom floor with a USB stick and ask them to print some samples for you, and boom, you're done. Go break into places. When you go back to your businesses and offices tomorrow, reevaluate your badge policy. And what I mean by that is, how many points of identification do you have on a badge? If you look at this thing, there is all sorts of crap all over it. It does help to identify at certain levels, but immediately, I don't care, from the distance between me and jurist, I can't really tell. Simplify your badges, and also take into considerations your environment as well. So the simpler you make them, the better they are to be accepted by employees, and the easier they are to be identified by employees. Also, make sure that your guards are checking the badges physically, because I've gotten into some places that I cannot mention that you would never believe if I did, that I said, hey, I got it in there with a piece of paper I printed off at the hotel business office. So have your guards, if there is ever a question, grab the physical card and inspect it. And also have your guards start pulling people out. Every once in a while, pull them aside randomly, have checks, go, hey, can I see your badge? Does it work? The other thing to do is have guard stations. When you have your HID scanners and your guards monitoring everyone coming in the morning, give them a pop-up screen and software so that when someone scans the badge at the HID reader or the RFID reader, whatever you're using, the employee's picture comes up. That is pivotal to guards. That'll work better than any man trap or any kind of doodad out there or security gimmick. If a guard can see when a person scans the badge and sees their picture matches the face in the system as well, you're golden, and you've got a security guard that's actually doing what they're supposed to. But most importantly, make sure you're talking to all your employees. Even though we're all in InfoSec, I can guarantee a lot of big InfoSec companies we've actually tested and they failed. Constantly educate your employees on badges, the badge use, how they're stored, and everything. And even if it's not part of your annual review or training of InfoSec, put it in there. Because if not, people like me are going to be ransacking your business. And you don't want me going through your cube at night. It's not pleasant, because we have fun. Any questions? Bueller? Anyone? Always ask, and I'll be around. So always come out, and I'll be helping around here for a while.